of getting to our final recommendations. Also, I will explain what the Finance Commission does so that you understand the background in case you happen not to. Finance Commission is appointed every 5 years to make recommendations on how the central taxes or taxes collected by the central government will be divided between the central government and the 28 states. That division is called the vertical devolution, and then whatever is the state share is to be divided among 28 states based on certain transparent criteria. That is called the horizontal devolution. Finance Commission also gives certain grants. These grants all come from the Consolidated Fund of India, meaning the Government of India's budget. They include grants to the local bodies, both urban and rural. They also include some disaster relief grants. And in addition, there may be state-specific and sector-specific grants. So that is the general mandate. We started our work around mid-February of this year, and what this work also requires, among other things, is very extensive consultation, including with every single state. So traditionally, the Finance Commission has visited every single state. We started that process soon after the parliamentary elections in May 2024 this year. Tamil Nadu is our 12th state visit. So that is where we are. There are still 16 more states for us to go. So you can see that this is a very long drawn process. With 28 states, even if we visit one state per week, which we are not able to do, it will take 7 months to visit the states alone. And then there are consultations with other bodies as well. So there's a lot of travel involved in this. At this point, obviously, the Commission cannot have reached any conclusions as to how precisely it is going to do the devolution, how the vertical devolution will be done, and then what criteria will go into the determination of the horizontal devolution across the 28 states. Now coming to the deliberations today, the Honorable Chief Minister gave a short speech in which he emphasized that our approach should be to do this devolution such that it promotes the national interest, but it also promotes the interests of all the states. That was the sort of overarching theme of his speech. Then we had a very, very long presentation. As you can see, I'm holding the presentation here. It's quite heavy, and it has something between 130 to 140 pages to it. The presentation was done very painstakingly, very systematically. When I described the presentation after it had been completed, what I called it was that this was a master class for any commission. It was by far the most well-researched and most comprehensive, very analytic presentation, and the state really made as good a case that as any state could have made for its own interests. Now, the presentation, as I said, is very long, so obviously it goes in depth into a number of different issues. But the broad, I think, broad suggestions of interest here have to do with the vertical and horizontal devolution. State made the case that currently the division of the divisible pool between the center and states is 41% for the states and 59% for the central government. Then, of course, these other grants that I mentioned, local body grants, the disaster relief grants, sectoral grants, etc., they all come out of the central government budget as well. So in the end, actually, even though it may appear 4159, it much more also furthermore comes from the central funds into the goes to the states and local bodies and so forth. So that is the current. On that, the recommendation of the state was that the state share in the divisible pool be raised to 50%. Now, this is a recommendation we have been given by almost every state. Maybe there might be one or two exceptions where the figure may have been 45% instead of 50. What was different, I think, about Tamil Nadu was that as opposed to most other states which simply say that this is our recommendation, Tamil Nadu's presentation really went in depth to make the case why it should be done 50%. On horizontal then, the state had very detailed suggestions regarding how the criteria ought to be changed. Now, one of the running themes of this presentation was that over time, the commissions have not served the interest of Tamil Nadu well, and whereas, if you go back to the 9th commission or so, the state share was significantly larger, maybe around 7%. I'm just 7% is about roughly correct, right? It had now fallen to something like 4.04%. So from 7+% in the divisible pool in the 9th commission, by 15th it has fallen to 4%. And so this was naturally, this is seen as something very unfair by the state of Tamil Nadu. And it made the case that criteria that have been adopted over time are the reason why this has happened. And in particular, the particular criterion to which the presentation referred was the income distance criterion. What this says is that one of the criteria for devolution has been how far is the per capita income of one of the state which is being given the funds in relation to the richest state. Now, insofar as over time what has happened is that the gap between richer states and poorer states has expanded. As an example, I tell you that, 30, 40 years ago, let's say 1990s, maybe 1990, 91, around there, perhaps the gap between the richest and the poorest was something of the order of maybe 3 to 1. So 3 for the richest, 1 for the poorest. That gap has gone to something like 6 to 1, close to 6 to 1, a little below 6, but 6 to 1. So as this gap has risen, obviously, the devolution that goes to the poorer states has risen as well. And the weight, almost like 45 to 50% funds of the divisible pool have been recommended to be devolved based on this income difference criterion. So that was the central factor. There may be others as well, but this was the central factor in the analysis of Tamil Nadu government, which led to this very sharp decline. The case that Tamil Nadu government made is that as we are going towards 2047, Viksit Bharat, meaning a developed India, naturally you need growth poles. Unless the fast-growing states are provided necessary funds, we fail to grow as fast as we need to in order to be a developed country by 2047. It also made the case that, look, if the states grow fast, then the divisible pool itself also will grow much faster, and so so the pie that you are trying to divide among the states and between the states and the center would also be larger if that growth is actually facilitated. So it made the case that the Finance Commission make decisions which will reinforce the growth aspect of the economic progress. So that was the pitch. If I think I got that correctly. If the pie is larger, then even if you get a smaller share in the pie, the absolute amount that you're getting might be bigger. The slice you're getting may still be bigger because you're cutting it out of a larger pie. So that was the pitch. Based on that, the Tamil Nadu government has suggested that it made two sets of suggestions. But what I would do, given our limited time, is to give you what Tamil Nadu said was its preferred set of criteria on which it would like the Finance Commission to base the horizontal devolution. So vertical, already I have mentioned that it has recommended that 50% be given to the states. Then on the horizontal division, Tamil Nadu's recommendations are that income distance, well, two things it said. One, that the income distance itself be measured in terms of purchasing power parity across states. What that means is that, when you look at per capita income differences, don't look at the per capita income in nominal terms, because price levels are different. The potatoes that don't cost in Bihar the same as they cost in Tamil Nadu or in Karnataka. The price, generally the high per capita income is associated with higher prices. And so using the nominal prices overstates the differences between per capita incomes of the richer and poorer states. So adjust these per capita incomes for the differences in purchasing power, and that will reduce some of the per capita income differences. So that was one recommendation, and then along with it, the state also said that the weight of per capita income distance in the devolution formula should be reduced from 45% under the 15th Finance Commission to 35%. Okay, so that was its major. That's a big recommendation actually, because that will, the two things, using purchasing power parity per capita income plus reducing the weight from 45 to 35% would result in very large shift. There is no doubt. Nobody has done the numbers, and I've personally actually asked Tamil Nadu government to actually do the numbers. What does it lead to? So that's one. That will be the big one. On population is the other second criterion. Now on population, the 15th Finance Commission had given a 15% weight to population and had used 2011 census population figures. Tamil Nadu's recommendation is that we go back to using the 1971 census population figures, and we increase the rate from 15 to 20%. Then there was a demographic performance variable that the 15th Finance Commission had used. It had used the total fertility rate, or really 1 divided by the total fertility rate. That, the lower the total fertility rate, the larger the share of the state. On that, the weight that was used by the 15th Finance Commission was 12.5%, and the recommendation by Tamil Nadu is that that weight be increased to 20%. Now, there is a new criterion that Tamil Nadu has suggested, that we also we also use a criterion of contribution to the economy. this would mean, well, there are two ways it could be interpreted, but I think the manner in which the Tamil Nadu government has interpreted it is what is the contribution to the GDP of the state, right? So if Tamil Nadu, let's say, accounts for 8% of the GDP of India, then its share based on that criterion will be 8%, and so also of the other states. So on that, the weight assigned is 15%. Then Tamil Nadu also made a strong case that urbanization is extremely important part of economic transformation. Quite rightly so. I think urbanization is an important element in the economic transformation, and that also be given a weight of 10% in the devolution. So 35 for income distance, 20 for population, demographic performance, 20%, 15% for contribution to the economy, and share in urbanization, that's 10%. So that makes 100. So that is the main kind of recommendation of the state. Then there are also more detailed recommendations on increasing the local body grants to 5%, and similar recommendations are also made on disaster relief. So I will stop there. We will take 3 or 4 questions and then.
Hello. Ramesh from the Business Line newspaper. This Tamil Nadu's recommendation about the purchasing power parity be used for per capita income, has that been made by any other state before, or is it the first?
Not so far, but remember that we still have 16 more states to go to.
Okay. And then, did they say anything about forest cover as one of the criteria?
Let's see. So the one, not in the one that that is identified as the preferred criterion.
Would you have any immediate reactions to this recommendation about
No.
purchasing power parity?
No. At this stage, I think, the Commission will not take a stand until we have done all our consultation, and then we have done all our thinking. Only after that we will take some view on these things. Okay.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Coming from some news, past meetings Telangana and now Tamil Nadu also accused increase in the vertical devolution 41% to 50%. In Commission to consider this recommendation.
Sorry. Oh, you mean it's the previous Commission?
Previous meeting in October meeting, Telangana government also accused increase the vertical devolution 41% to 50%. Today, Tamil Nadu government also accused increase the 41%. In past, many states also accused this demand. In Commission will consider this demand.
We will look at everything, but that doesn't mean very much, because right now the Commission will not say what its view is, because it doesn't have a view yet. As I said, 16 more states to go for us. By way of background, I can tell you that this is a demand that the states have repeatedly made to all the commissions in the past as well. At least if you look at the past 3 or 4 commissions, this is something that the states have always represented.
Hi, sir. Sir, Dharni from Times Television Network. So the vertical devolution, the percentage of here, sir. Yeah, Dharni from Times Television Network. So the percentage of vertical devolution for the states have seen a rise. Now it stands at 41%, say. But on the other hand, there is a complaint from, I wouldn't call it a complaint, but there is a concern from even today morning, our Chief Minister has told that when it comes to the center state partnered schemes, the share of states, the financial contribution of states has been consistently seeing a rise is what the Chief Minister raised as a concern. So on one hand, we are seeing, a look at, we're looking at, a rise in the vertical devolution percentage to the states, but on the other hand, there is also a concern that the state share of amount in center state partnered projects are increasing. So this more or less leaves the state with no gain, the financial gain from it, right? Like altogether, if you put it in an equation.
So what you're referring to is the centrally sponsored schemes.
Yeah, the center state, in the sense like where
Centrally
there's a
sponsored.
contribution from both the sides, like center state partnered schemes.
Right. Meaning, so these are centrally sponsored schemes
Yeah.
in which
The state also has a contribution, financial
right.
contribution.
Generally the center has a share of 60%
Yeah,
and
state
the
has a
state has
share.
40.
So today the Chief Minister told that the state's share, of in these schemes has been seeing a rise in the recent years.
No. So what had happened was that at the time that 14th Finance Commission, whose first year was 2015-16, after which, after 5 years of 14th ended, 15th kicked in, that was from the year 2021. All right. So at the time of the 14th Finance Commission, the vertical devolution had been raised from 32% to 42%. There was a very large jump, quite almost unprecedented, arguably maybe one time earlier it had happened at the time of 7th Commission. But otherwise, this vertical devolution each time moves very little. So as an example, 11th had fixed it at 29.5%, 12th raised it to 30.5%, 13th raised it to 32%, and then it went from 32 to 42%. That is the time when the central government said that my fiscal space has been considerably reduced. How do I deal with this situation? So one of the things it did in view of its dramatically reduced share was to shift the shares in the centrally sponsored schemes. So if it was 75 to 25 before, it went to 60 to 40. Okay? But after that, no such shift has been done. So on the 15th, the share did not change vertical from 40 to 41 only because Jammu and Kashmir, which used to be a state, became union territory. So 1% was left with the center on account of that. So effectively, for the 28 states, there was no shift in the vertical share. And so also there has been no shift in the centrally sponsored scheme shares.
So now, as you also said, like several states, they've been demanding an increase in the vertical devolution. Like for example, our state Chief Minister has also requested a rise to 50% in the vertical devolution. So does it mean that in case, assuming that there is going to be rise in the percentage, assuming that in the future that there is going to be rise in the percentage, will it again have an impact in the numbers of the funding between center and state, like as you said?
Numbers between, you mean you're talking
the projects,
about
yeah.
in the central?
Yeah.
Well,
Sponsored projects.
that's a call that then at that point the central government will take. But if you go by the past experiences, that has been the past experience that, if the vertical share rises excessively, then the central government responds in these ways because central government also has to deal with its budgetary shortages. There are only 2 or 3 options, right? It would increase fiscal deficit, it will reduce its transfers to the states that it normally does otherwise, and the other instrument, third instrument left to the central government is the cesses and surcharges, that instead of relying on the regular taxation which goes into the divisible pool, the central government continuously, progressively moves more and more into cesses and surcharges which are not shared. So those are its 3 instruments, and generally, at least in the past, going by the experience of the 14th Finance Commission, that those were the responses actually of the central government. Sir, please give some others the chance.
Sir, I'm Bharat from N18L newspaper. The states like Tamil Nadu have done remarkably well in population control. Adoption, the census 2011 figures will be an obstacle for the states which have performed well towards stabilizing the population growth. What will be the weightage the Commission shall consider towards demographic profile in horizontal devolution?
You know, I've already given answer to that question, that I can't answer that question as yet. That is something way down the road. At this point, the Commission will not say anything about what it will do.
So, the repeated theme of subsequent financial commission is that the equity versus growth, how this tax pool is divided, right? And there is an increasing call among the southern states which are low fertility rates and higher growth rates, asking for various tweaks to the metrics. So, do you find yourself in a very tough spot compared to your previous predecessors? Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay, then. So, I want to specifically ask about.
I can't say how the previous commissions felt, but I can speak about myself. Yes.
Okay. So, I want to specifically ask about Tamil Nadu's, request. One of the requests is that increasing contribution for the economic contribution as a metric in your consideration, right? And also,
What's the question there?
So Tamil Nadu government has requested for an increased weightage or introducing a new weightage for a growth contribution to the national income, right?
Correct.
So new metrics. And also, we are facing a frequent flooding incidents which causes huge disruptions to the economy, right? Are you at all, compared to 15 years ago, the situation is completely different, the impact of the natural disasters and the flooding incidents. Are we considering this as a serious problem going forward in the tax devolution? That's one part to my question. And second part to the question is that Tamil Nadu government has asked for an increased weightage to certain parameters like income distance, and there is a worry about aging population, right? How do you look at it? You don't want to comment, but how do you look at all those demands? Do you think it's feasible to consider all of these demands?
So, look, I think in fairness, the state has every right to make those demands, and every state that we have gone to has done that. As you would expect, every state says that we are special. So this is our 12th special state. I don't say that, I say it seriously, that actually the diversity of India is such that every state has some special features. So those special features have therefore become very difficult for the Commission to introduce, because then you'll end up with 25 different criteria, and that results in a loss of transparency. So not every special criterion can be taken into account, but this is a big one that and this is not just from Tamil Nadu, by the way. Some of the other states also have pitched for including a measure of the contribution to the economy among the criteria. So Gujarat, I think Telangana also. So and it's not really. It gets put more as a north-south kind of. It's really not north-south. It's states that are growing faster and states that are growing slower. That is what creates the divide. So it is completely fair game. I don't see. In the end, that of course means for us it's a very tough act to deliver on, because we also have to worry about UPs and Bihars and so forth. So we'll have to see what is done at the end. So as I said, as you yourself know by now that I can't tell you where we will go with it, but that's fair game. To your first question on disaster, the natural disasters, yes, that problem is beginning to get more and more acute. There's no doubt, the effect of climate change and all. And on that also there was a long section which in the presentation, and there are some special issues of the coastal states which were highlighted in the presentation. The 15th Finance Commission had used a disaster relief index and as for partial devolution of the disaster relief grants. And on that, the state had some suggestions that it's not doing a fully adequate job of bringing the interest, taking into account the interests of Tamil Nadu. So we'll look at that. We have been actually, this is a discussion we have had with other states also. The challenge, the Commission is very much open to looking at alternative ways of measuring the disaster relief, provided we can do it across all the states, because you need the index value for every single state ultimately to implement it, and the index has to be transparent enough, it has to have the acceptability, etc. So some of the states like Himachal Pradesh we went, they also had a similar point. So we asked actually, if you have an alternative index, and that's also a pitch to Tamil Nadu, that if there is an alternative way they think that it can be measured, we'll certainly look at it. Any particular types of disasters that somehow were not included in the DRI that 15th used, we are happy to take a look at something else which will be more inclusive.
One last question.
Maybe here, I think let's take.
Sir, hello.
Take the microphone.
Sir.
Hello, sir. Tamilarasi from News18 Tamil Nadu. So, have you discussed about any specific projects or social welfare schemes and how it will be get funded?
So there is a list of sectoral schemes, sectoral grants for which the state has made a pitch, and it has also actually given us a very thick presentation, which it did not make, but it is given to us to take a look at. So we'll see.
So, hi, Siddharth here from Beyond. Sir, hi. Here, sir. Yeah, I just want to ask regarding the flagging of aging population by Tamil Nadu, sir. So, is this a pattern you're seeing among southern states of the states you visited? Is this a pattern you're seeing among all southern states, the flagging of aging population? And is there a pattern to it, like northern states are saying something else about it, southern states are saying that?
Look, this also, you're seeing it through the wrong lens. Generally, you would see that states which have higher per capita incomes would generally end up with lower TFR. And in all the states, whether rich or poor, over time, as incomes are rising, TFR has been declining. It's only a matter of, still some differences remaining. So that's the factual point,
But specifically, are any southern states in your time so far?
The Commission really doesn't see this as a north-south issue. It's a different
But in your visit so far, how many states have flagged this, if you could just recall, please?
Look, this was already there in the 15th Commission. So it's not a new issue. This was already taken into account by the 15th. So for us, it's re-evaluation, that's all.
Shall we close, sir?
No. It's the opposite, actually. Of course they are related. Yes, because the famous theorem that you need as many instruments at least as there are targets. So if you got multiple objectives, one of targeting growth and the other of targeting redistribution, then you need at least two instruments. So these are the two instruments.
Thank you, sir. I must thank the chairman of the commission and as well as the members for having interacted with the journalists. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you.
So what I